Good morning, just after 6 o'clock. Robert and Erin, 1017 FM and 710 Keel, way down yonder. Erin has local news, lots of that right now.
The mayor has named some members of his team. They still need to be approved. We'll talk more about that. Big plans for Bickham-Dixon Park. We'll talk more about that, too. And residents at a local apartment complex are fed up.
That controversial downtown Shreveport New Year's Eve video, you know, one of the few places where you can see that is the London Daily Mail.
Wow.
And there were some interesting comments from the comment section of the London Daily Mail. If you missed our chat with Joshua Lyon, going to replay that in a second or two.
Also, I just give you a caution about a problem on I-20 this morning that I know all too well about.
Fletcher and sports, traffic, and weather. It's all coming up this hour right here on Keel.
KEEL Morning Report, now on 1017 FM and 710 KEEL.
The mayor selects the city's first chief technology officer. Matt Parker has details.
Shreveport Mayor Adrian Perkins has announced that Keith Hansen will be the city's first chief technology officer. Hansen was the president of local tech company Twin Engine Labs before they merged with another company in December. All the mayor's appointees are expected to be confirmed by the city council in the next 2 weeks. From 1017 FM and 710 Keel, I'm Matt Parker.
As the waters start to recede across the region, you'll still see closed signs at Bickham-Dixon Park, but that could change soon. Shreveport SPAR Director Shelley Regal says the city's in discussions to turn this park over to the wildlife refuge.
All of our user group who really love Bickham-Dixon, they're very excited about this transfer because they know that the wildlife refuge, they are knowledgeable. They're the expertise in protecting wetlands and these oxbow lakes. So you'll still have access to it, but we'll have somebody who is taking care of it and caring for it.
Regal says it will take some time to get the feds to act on the proposal. Speaking of flooding, residents of Nantucket Harbor Apartments on Lakeshore Drive are not happy about the problems they face every time it rains. The parking lot floods and they have to park away from the building or their cars will be underwater. The city is going out to the area today to see if a nearby ditch needs to be cleared. Arrest made in Shreveport's first murder. Jeremy Grant is facing charges. According to police, Jimmy Ray Grant Jr. was shot multiple times and killed on Lakeshore Drive. Following an investigation, police arrested his brother Jeremy for the crime. Grant's being charged with second-degree murder. Bossier School's hosting a cyberbullying and suicide prevention presentation this week. The event's at the Bossier Instructional Center Wednesday at 6 p.m. Parents will learn skills and strategies to prevent tragedy with their own children. Shreveport police investigating a shooting that left a teenager wounded. It happened on Martha Lane around 4 p.m. According to officers, the teen was standing outside a home when someone driving by opened fire. The teen was hit at least once in the abdomen. At this time, no arrests have been made. The Air Force says a court-martial set to begin today for a Barksdale-based airman accused of stabbing his roommate to death at an air base in Guam. Airman First Class Isaiah Edwards is charged with the murder of Airman First Class Bradley Hale. An Air Force panel will hear the case in a federal courtroom in Shreveport. The Surgeon General has declared teen vaping an epidemic, as a report says an estimated 2.1 million middle and high school students use those devices. Department of Health Assistant Officer Joseph Cantor says just because it's not a traditional cigarette doesn't mean it isn't terrible for your health, particularly if you're young.
They typically do not contain tobacco, but they do contain nicotine, sometimes in very large quantities. Nicotine in and of itself can impair learning, memory, and attention, particularly in individuals 25 years and younger.
10.7 million kids ages 12 to 17 say they've tried the e-cigarettes. Governor John Bel Edwards talks to the Baton Rouge Press Club today as he begins the final year of his current term. Analyst Bernie Pincinat expects the governor will tout his accomplishments and also tell us about his re-election message.
His speech to the press club will be a preview of what he plans to run on, his accomplishments, what he thinks he's done, and why he should be reelected.
Edwards expected to focus on the goal of teacher pay raises as Louisiana is below the southern regional average. President Trump showing no signs of budging on his demand for more than $5 billion for a wall along the U.S.-Mexican border. With the shutdown heading into a third week, many Republicans are watching nervously from the sidelines. Bohemian Rhapsody, the winner of the Best Film Drama at the Golden Globes, the movie that charts the rise of Freddie Mercury and Queen, stars Rami Malek as Mercury. It was directed by Bryan Singer. Malek won Best Actor for the drama. I'm Erin McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
Takes a while.
Once that deal's approved, the
Market Solutions.
Ten past 6 o'clock. It's 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL. Traffic update for Monday. Here's Ruben.
Looks like I-49 South's got it clear all the way to Alexandria right now, but look out later on this morning for some traffic delays on I-220 westbound near the Cross Lake Bridge due to construction. If you have anything to report to us, give us a call at our Planet Fitness traffic hotline. That's 687-ROAD.
Well, clouds much of the day today, as we'll see temperatures top out at 68. More clouds tonight, low 54. Cloudy tomorrow with a high 67. And sunshine returns on Wednesday, a little cooler, 58. Thursday, a mix of clouds and sunshines in the forecast, highs at 53. Richard Wettig, the Weather Channel.
KEEL, Robert J. Wright and Erin McCarty, Monday. You know, this does start what we call the stretch, right?
Oh, I know. I'm dreading it.
This is the stretch starting about the first full week of January until about May the 1st, where neither of us takes any time off.
Mm-hmm. I know.
So let's see, January, 4 months.
Right.
So what'd you do this weekend? Oh, wait, you can tell us a little bit later this hour. But your car is in a state of disrepair.
My 2019 has started in the crapper.
Well,
like I can't even begin to tell you.
On the other hand, it didn't end as badly as Josh Lyon.
Yeah, you got a point.
Lyon's 2018.
You got a point.
Were you surprised by the amount of negative blowback, feedback, criticism we got from people for having the kid on Friday
I didn't
morning?
read any of it. To be honest, I haven't read any of it.
I mean, basically, there were a couple that came out and said that by having him on to tell his side of the story about that downtown New Year's Eve video, that makes us anti-police.
Golly. What happened to news being and news shows like we do being tell
but-
both sides of the story? What happened to that?
We're just one other one, and this was on my...
We had the police chief on telling his side what he could the day before.
I'm just telling you. One of the posts said that we're just a couple of entertainers, that we're not really a news station.
Well, whatever.
So we started off with the aforementioned Mr. Lyon. He at the heart of that downtown New Year's Eve video, Get You Some Business, Bruh. I mean, not to mock, I apologize.
Oh, boy.
But that was the first question. So what's it feel like to get tased?
Well, it's not pleasant. I'll tell you that much.
So compare.
Does it burn? Does it sting?
That was kind of a serious question. I mean, you see, like the police all the time will say, "Well, we'll tase you as a publicity stunt," and I go, "No, it looks horrible."
Well, it's supposed to be one of the last lines of force for a police officer, specifically because it is more violent than almost anything else on their utility belt, minus the gun. So, it really doesn't feel like anything except for being electrocuted, which is what it is.
Okay, so let's start here. It's New Year's Eve.
How did it all start?
You've had a couple of drinks, maybe 3. You're walking down the street. At what point does it seem like a good idea to start heckling a cop?
Well, Robert, that's not what happened. So if you're interested in knowing the beginning of the story, I'd be happy to tell you.
Yeah, well, tell us what happened, Josh.
Sure. So I was walking down Market Street on my way from one event, New Year's Eve, to another event. A police officer pulled over a car that had run a stoplight, and about 4 more patrol units rolled up on that car. And as I was walking by, I made a passing comment to the person that I was walking with that I thought it was interesting that 4 or 5 units needed to stop someone for a stoplight on New Year's Eve. And one of the officers that had pulled up, I guess, overheard my comment and didn't like it, and started to walk towards me as I'm walking down the sidewalk, saying, "Y'all need to get out of here, get out of here." And we continued to walk to the end of the block, and the officer kept following us, kept coming closer and saying the same thing over and over, "Get out of here," as we were walking to the corner of the street. And once he came closer, I guess he took an interest in me personally, and he had backed us onto the corner of Milam and Market Street, basically to where I was almost standing in the street, and just began to badger. And there were 4 other police officers that were standing there, basically blocking me from accessing any sidewalk or exit from the situation. So the officer telling me that I needed to leave, I wasn't able to.
Had you been drinking, Josh? Were you under the influence of alcohol?
Well, Erin, it's New Year's Eve. Everyone's out having a good time. I don't think the issue is whether or not I was having a drink. The issue might be whether or not I was drunk or heavily intoxicated, which is not the case.
That's what people are saying, Josh. They're saying, this is a drunk guy just mouthing off.
Yeah,
How do you respond to that?
The question might be, if it were noon on a Wednesday, would you have responded in the same way?
Well, to try and answer both of your questions, even though they're different ones together, yes. Robert, I think I would have, because my response wasn't driven by intoxication, my response was driven by a desire to stand up for my rights against a belligerent officer.
But you had said a couple of seconds ago that the policeman had followed you about a block away from where where your conversation began. So as I'm watching the video, is that taking place at the point of the traffic infraction or where the car was stopped, the violation had occurred, or was it further away?
Well, I'm glad you asked that question because a lot of people think that I approached the officers on the scene of the crime, which is not what happened. I continued to walk to the end of the block, and the video that everyone saw took place on the corner of Milam and Market, which was about 3/4 of a block away from where the traffic infraction happened.
Okay, so pardon me. So one officer followed you up the street, but in the video, there's a whole slew of officers around. So at what point did the other 2 or 3 or 4 officers, I don't know how many there were, did they also follow you up the street?
As far as I remember, the other officers that were shown in the video were there almost at the same time as the other police officer, the one that I had the encounter with. They came up almost immediately.
So a bunch of them followed.
Yes, sir. There were about 4. I think there were 4 officers that had followed me and cornered me onto the corner of Milam and Market Street.
Josh, do you believe you did anything wrong at all?
That's the big question, isn't it, Erin? I definitely think that standing up for constitutional rights is something that every citizen should do. However, everyone should weigh their situation individually and take in the idea that there could be some consequences into their actions. I personally, at the moment, felt like I was safe enough in that I had someone videotaping. There were several witnesses standing around watching the event.
Why is your brother? Why is your brother videotaping and not trying to pull you away and say, "Hey, let's just get out of here"? Why didn't y'all just get out of there?
Well, we weren't able to get out of there, Erin. As I mentioned before, the police officers had surrounded us and were blocking the sidewalks. And the only other option was for us to step into the street, which is not an option because that's unsafe.
I'm sure that you've watched the video a couple of times of yourself. So let's do 2 things. Give me a review of what you think of Josh Lyon watching him on the video, you being Josh Lyon. And specifically in the language, rather aggressive, dare I say, that you used with that officer.
Wow, another set of great questions, Robert. So, of course, I've watched the video several times, and of course, I've examined my own actions several times. And a lot of people have said the same thing to me, which is, well, why didn't you just comply? Why didn't you just, do whatever the officer says? And the answer to that is because I had not done anything wrong. I was not approaching the officer. I was not talking down to the officer in any way at the beginning of the video. It was only until after the officer was encroaching on my personal space and basically had blocked me from any exit of the situation that I began to feel intimidated. And when I began to feel intimidated, I then started to use some language that maybe some other people may not have used in that situation, and maybe I may not have used at 2 o'clock or 12 o'clock on a Wednesday, as you may have, as you said earlier. But I do not think that any of my actions warranted the response that was given by the officer.
Josh, you were charged with public intoxication. Do you tell us today you do not think you were publicly intoxicated?
That's right, Erin. And the interesting detail about public intoxication that almost anyone who's ever been charged with it can tell you is that there's zero proof required to be charged with public intoxication. Any person walking down the street that has an officer that may take an issue with that person is open to being charged with public intoxication. All the officer has to do is I smell alcohol on your breath, and they can arrest you, and they don't have to give you a breathalyzer or a blood test or anything to prove that you are actually intoxicated.
What about interfering with a police investigation, resisting an officer, the other charges they filed? Do you think these are bogus?
Well, bogus is one way to put it. I think that they're unwarranted, and as I mentioned earlier, I never approached the officer's investigation. We continued to walk to the end of the corner, and it was at that point that we were confronted and surrounded. So as far as I'm concerned, we walked as far as we could from the investigation site before being approached by the officers, in which case I was backed into a corner, literally.
So you've hired legal representation. You have a lawyer. What is it you want? What makes it okay? What makes it go away?
Oh, man, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Of course I've hired representation. Here's the thing. This kind of thing is not, even though I've gotten significant attention for it, the video has something like 1 million views at this point in the last less than a week. However, this is not a once in a lifetime thing that happens. This happens on a regular basis to people, not just in Shreveport, but all over the country. And if it's garnering this much attention for me, it's almost a shame that it doesn't garner enough attention from all the other people that experience this kind of treatment by the police.
Your message to the police chief and officers that may do things that the public thinks shouldn't be done. What is your message to them today, Josh?
Wait, give me 3 seconds to think about
Please.
that. That's a heavy question.
Take your time.
Sure. I don't think that anything that I have to say to the Shreveport Police Department or to police in general is going to change the minds and the practices of the police department. Anything that is ever brought against the police is usually met with the same reaction, which is the same reaction that was heard on KTBS 3 News the other night, which was the police department has so far shown that the officer acted in accordance with their training. And I guess my message overall would be, if that is the training, then the training needs to change.
So like I said about the London Daily Mail and the comments from Londoners about that video. Tell you those in just a couple of seconds.
Interesting.
1017 FM 710 Keel. Here's Ruben.
Starting things off looking nice and clear for your early morning drive to work, but look out later on this morning for some traffic delays on North Market near North Hearn Avenue. If you have anything to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness traffic hotline. That's 687-ROAD.
The clouds much of the day today, as we'll see temperatures top out at 68. More clouds tonight, low 54. Cloudy tomorrow with a high 67. And sunshine returns on Wednesday, a little cooler, 58. Thursday, a mix of clouds and sunshines in the forecast, highs at 53. Richard Wettig, the Weather Channel.
.1017 FM 710 Keel. Monday morning. I'm fine. Monday morning sports.
Good morning from the sports desk of 1130 The Tiger. This is Tim Fletcher. The Saints will host the defending Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles Sunday afternoon in an NFC divisional round playoff game. The Eagles survived and advanced in Chicago with a 16-15 win in a wild-card playoff game yesterday. The Bears had a chance to win with under 10 seconds to play, but kicker Cody Parkey's 43-yard field goal clanked off the right upright, fell to the crossbar, and harmlessly back onto the field. The Saints whipped the Eagles 48-7 on November 18th, but Philly head coach Doug Peterson said last night, quote, "I think we're a different football team now," end quote. New Orleans is a 9-point favorite in Sunday's rematch. The Cowboys will face the Rams in Los Angeles Saturday night in the other NFC divisional round matchup. Dallas beat Seattle Saturday 24-22 for their fourth playoff win in the 23 years since their last Super Bowl. They are 7-point underdogs to the Rams. The Chargers bested Baltimore Sunday afternoon 23-17 and will play the Patriots Sunday at noon in the AFC divisional playoffs. Top-seeded Kansas City draws the red-hot Indianapolis Colts to get the weekend started Saturday at 3:35. From the sports desk of 1130 The Tiger, this is Tim Fletcher.
.101.7 FM, 710 Keel. Ooh, we got to go. I've still got these. You can see the video, one of the only places you can see the Shreveport policeman video, the New Year's Eve video, the Josh Lyon video, is in the London Daily Mail.
Mm-hmm.
So what time do we have Stormy Gage Watts?
She is on at 6:35.
Okay, and then you have to tell your car wreck story.
Oh, God.
I want to read the London Daily Mail stuff.
What a sick morning I've had.
They are talking about Shreveport and the Shreveport police and Josh Lyon in the London Daily Mail.
Unbelievable.
Got to get to those just a bit later. 101.7 FM, 710 Keel traffic update. Here's Ruben.
Looks like I-49 South's got it clear all the way to Alexandria right now, but look out later on this morning for some traffic delays on I-220 westbound near the Cross Lake Bridge due to construction. If you have anything to report to us, give us a call at our Planet Fitness traffic hotline. That's 687-ROAD.
The clouds much of the day today, as we'll see temperatures top out at 68. More clouds tonight, low 54. Cloudy tomorrow with a high 67. And sunshine returns on Wednesday, a little cooler, 58. Thursday, a mix of clouds and sunshines in the forecast, highs at 53. Richard Wettig, the Weather Channel.
Of information. KEEL News now.
An arrest made in Shreveport's first murder of the year. Matt Parker with that.
Jeremy Grant has been arrested in connection with Shreveport's first murder of the year. According to police, Jimmy Ray Grant Jr. was shot multiple times and killed Saturday afternoon in the 3200 block of Lakeshore Drive. Following an intense investigation, police arrested his brother Jeremy for the crime Sunday afternoon. Grant is being charged with second-degree murder. From 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL, I'm Matt Parker.
Shreveport police investigating a shooting that left a teenager wounded. It happened in the 800 block of Martha Lane. According to officers, the teen was standing outside of the home when someone driving by opened fire. The teen was hit at least once in the abdomen. No arrests made yet. As the waters begin to recede across the region, you'll see closed signs still at Bickham-Dixon Park, but that could change soon. SPAR Director Shelley Regal says the city's in talks to turn the park over to the feds.
Well, you know the Wildlife Refuge in Bossier?
Mm-hmm.
It will be a part of that.
Regal says the Wildlife Refuge would then take care of the park and keep it open to the public. Speaking of flooding, residents of the Nantucket Harbor Apartments on the south side of Cross Lake are not happy about the problems they face every time it rains any amount. The parking lot floods, and they have to park their cars away from the building or the cars would be underwater. The city crews are going out to the area today to see if a nearby ditch needs to be cleared to help ease the problem. Governor John Bel Edwards addressing the Baton Rouge Press Club today as he begins the final year of his current term. Political analyst Bernie Pincinat says of the accomplishments, Edwards will likely highlight the stability in the budget as well as funding for education and health care.
Higher education is being funded properly. Health care is being funded properly. An expansion of Medicaid is another accomplishment he'll talk about.
He also expects the governor to focus on the goal of raising teacher pay. In Texas, Harris County police have arrested Eric Black Jr. in the shooting death of 7-year-old Jasmine Barnes. Barnes was shot after a suspect pulled alongside the car she was in and opened fire. Harris County Police Chief Ed Gonzalez says they're now searching for a witness.
We believe now that red truck and the driver is most likely just a witness, either by sight or sound, to what actually transpired. We still want that individual to come forward because perhaps they could now shed some light.
Eric Black Jr. faces a capital murder charge. It's the third week and nearly 800,000 federal workers are either on furlough or working without pay. President Trump, speaking to reporters, says government employees recognize the stalemate as an essential part of the fight.
We're trying to do everything possible to get money to our incredible people, but many of those incredible people agree with me, and they say, make sure you win this battle. This is a very important battle to win.
January 11th is the first scheduled payday that will be missed for federal employees impacted by the shutdown. Patricia Clarkson from New Orleans has won a Golden Globe for her role in the HBO series Sharp Objects. She's a New Orleans native and daughter of former councilwoman Jackie Clarkson. During her acceptance speech, Clarkson said she wanted to share her award with her parents and the city of New Orleans. I'm Erin McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
.101.7 FM and 710 KEEL. Robert and Erin. KEEL app, a free download presented by Office Furniture Source. Ms. Stormy Gage Watts is the new Caddo Commission president, recently elected. Hey, Ms. Watts. Ms. Stormy, welcome to KEEL. How are you this morning?
Good morning. Thank you.